Hello, my friends. So I have been thinking about something for a while now, and what I want to do today is to share a little presentation that I've created for you. And this is strictly just to encourage you. Um, I know after when I'm recording this, it's April of 23. And the PB party results, the honorable mentions have just come out this week. And so I know that there's a lot of disappointment flurrying around, and a lot of people are feeling very disjointed and dissatisfied, and there's just a lot of disappointment around. And so I've tried to share some encouragement on Twitter and via email with some folks. But I just wanted to just provide you some encouragement, and it comes in kind of a weird way. So the title of this presentation is Write Like a Sea Turtle, and that may seem kind of weird, but it'll all make sense hopefully by the end. So I want to talk with you today about how to keep moving forward to the open waters of your destiny in spite of challenges, rejections, imposter syndrome, and more. And so in the summer of 21, my husband and I had just been, we had opened a little Ventique booth, and we were down at the beach. We only live about 45 minutes from the beach, and we were there the day before school started. We were exhausted. We had spent the whole weekend trying to set the booth up, and it was Sunday afternoon. We had to go literally to work the next day, and we just decided to stop by the beach and put our chairs out. We napped for a while. We were so tired. And then we saw this this big crowd gathered and the Turtle Patrol vehicle. And so we went over to investigate, and then we saw this. The Ocean Isle Beach Turtle Patrol was helping some stragglers from a sea turtle nest. So if you're not familiar, sea turtles, their nest, they'll have a boil, and all the sea turtles kind of at one time come up to the surface and they make their way to the ocean. But sometimes there's ones that take a little longer. And that was the case this day. The patrol was there helping to see if any of the stragglers had kind of made it to the surface. And so they were helping them as much as they can. And they have very strict regulations about how much they're allowed to help. But they were helping these little guys to get out of the nest and on their way. So they had built this lovely little runway for these teeny tiny guys. And the arrow shows you one of these little bitty sea turtles. I mean, they're literally like this big around, and you can see what a long way this is. They're so tiny. They have so far to go, and you can see these are turtle tracks. And so even when he gets here to where you see the arrow, you can see how far he's come, but he has so far, or she has so far still to go. He's right here. He's only just maybe about halfway, maybe not even quite halfway to the surf. And so can you just imagine how far that feels to this little tiny turtle? And the sand is dry and it's hot, and he's already had to work really hard to get out of the nest and up onto the sand, and then the sand is dry and it's flipping and flopping, and he's flipping and scooching. It's just it's an amazing thing to watch. And all these people that you see along the sidelines are cheering for these little guys. It was one of the most emotional things I've ever seen. It was so cool to see every single person. It didn't matter how old you were, nothing mattered. Like nothing about you mattered. We were all completely united in this journey of these little sea turtles and hoping to help and watch them make it to their destination. Really one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And in fact, it was so moving that of course I had to write about it. This is what we do as writers. We write about the things that move us. And it was so impacting. And so I did. I wrote a picture book, which is never going to be published probably because the market is flooded with, because it's so impacting for everybody who sees it. I think everybody writes the story. So I don't know if Sprinkles will ever make it onto the shelves, but that's okay, because what happened was my critique partner, Darla, she read it over and over, and we did revisions. And over time, we kind of began to use Sprinkles kind of as our little mascot. And we even eventually named our critique group. It's just the two of us in this little group. And we eventually called ourselves the Moving Forward critique group. And so I also began using this analogy with other critique partners and groups to encourage them. And recently, during the PB party time, one of my friends was just particularly down and frustrated. And so I had sent an email and had some of this in it, and I'll share it with you toward the end, snippets from it at least. And another friend in that group, it was a ranking group for PB party. Another friend said, please turn this into a blog post. And I thought, well, I could do that. And I will. I'm going to put all of this into a blog post, but I just wanted you to be able to see a little bit of it for yourselves. I wanted you to see the pictures and see the video. And I think it'll have more impact this way. So this is what we can learn about writing from a sea turtle named Sprinkles. So we're going to talk about over the next few minutes how writing seems easy, but it's really not. And it's easy to be misoriented. And we need to take full advantage of every opportunity, stop and rest when we need to, never underestimate the power of a buddy, and to keep moving forward, of course. So first of all, just like these little sea turtles, it seems easy, this thing that we're called to, this thing, writing. And the sea turtles, like, this is what they're born to do also. Like, they're never gonna live and grow if they can't make it out of the nest and make it to the ocean. And in fact, many of them don't. Just like many of our writing friends don't. They stop before they get there. And these little sea turtles, they have to face things like ghost crabs and ants and seagulls and people and misorientation, which we're going to talk about in a minute. They have tons of hurdles and barriers along their way. And as we were looking, it is a long, arduous journey for them, just like it is for us. We don't have to deal with ghost crabs and ants and seagulls. We do sometimes have to deal with people, but that's a whole nother story for another time. But we do also have to deal with imposter syndrome, fear, rejection, FOMO, the fear of missing out, lack of self-confidence. I mean, there are so many challenges. People think writing is easy for those of us who enjoy writing, but that nothing could be further from the truth. There's nothing easy about it. So I want to show you right now a video. So I'm gonna need to step out of this for just a second. I wish I could have been able to put the videos in here, but I could not figure out how to do that. So give me just a second and let me exit out of the full screen, and let me pull up this first video. This is this is the one where when we're just first coming up, and this is what we discovered. You see the first little guy is coming out of the runway here in just a second. You can see him there on the other side of the volunteer, and he's smoothing out the sand. By the way, this is why they tell you not to dig holes and leave them on the beach, because the sea turtles can get caught in those and they won't make it out. And so they've tried to clear this path and make it very clear for the sea turtles. But as you can see, their flippers work really well in the water, help them swim, but they're not so great on the sand. It's a lot of work for them to be able to move forward. And this guy flipped right over. Luckily, he flipped right back over, or she. And you can hear the kids cheering them on, going, "It's a race," and they'll start naming them. This is where Sprinkles was born. The little girl says, "I want to call him Cotton Candy." And then she changes it to Sprinkles. So this is Sprinkles here.
We got Joe. You okay with those things?
And so these other guys that are coming back, the boys back here are calling them John and Mark.
No, we just got John and Robert. Those are here.
You can hear she said, "Oh, not Cotton Candy, Sprinkles, I mean." So let me go back to the slideshow now. Sorry for all the juggling here. So that's what we came up to. And so one thing is that it's very easy to be misoriented as a sea turtle, but it's also very easy to be misoriented as a writer. They tell you in the literature at the beaches, they have special lights that they can put on their porches and things, because the lights of the houses along the beach and the street lights, they look like the moon to the sea turtles, and so they will go the wrong direction. They'll get run over by cars, they'll get misoriented and just never make it to the ocean. They'll get picked up by all the predators before they ever figure it out, if they ever do figure it out. So it's misorientation is a huge problem for baby sea turtles. But it's easy for us to be misoriented as well. And here's just some of the ways. Sometimes we want to write to trends because we want to be successful so badly that we just write to whatever trends are that we're hearing about. But by the time anything would come of that story, that trend is going to be possibly long gone. It's not the right light to guide us. Other things that we do and we have to be careful of is judging our worth by our performance. And this is things like contest wins or agents or book deals or the number of followers or how we're received and perceived on social media. So we have contest wins and agents and book deals, and we just think that that's where we find our value, and that is very misorienting. That is not a true picture of who we are as writers or who we are as people either. And then we think, if I can just get to, and you can fill in the blank. For some of us, it's like, oh, if I can just get an agent. But an agent is no guarantee of a book deal. I mean, hopefully it gets us closer, but it's no guarantee. I know people that have had an agent for a couple of years and haven't had a book deal yet. There are no guarantees, my friends. There's no magic place you get to and then you're like, I won't have to deal with all the yuck anymore, because the yuck is just part of it. And we have to be able to deal with the yuck wherever we find ourselves along the journey. And so even though our performance does not determine our worth or our value, we do need to give 100%, sometimes more. And we need to take every single chance for success. Just like these guys. Man, don't you know they're tired, and they don't give up. They take every opportunity to move forward. There was one time, and I don't have pictures or video of that, but the seagulls came swooping when they saw these little guys trying to make it to the ocean, and they were going to have a snack. But there were friends who intervened, like we were all scaring away the seagulls and shouting at them to go away. Um, but and then these little turtles, like they're just like busting it, like really flipping and scooching to try to get to the ocean. And so sometimes it's tempting to us just to give up because we're like, oh, we're never going to get there. And don't you know that these little turtles feel that way too? Like I mean, how far is it? You think about kids on a trip, are we there yet? Are we there yet? We're never going to get there. And so I know that that's how they feel too, just like we do in this writing journey. But if we don't take those opportunities, then it's a big probability that we could miss out on our yes. If you give up altogether, you're not going to get your yes. It's never going to come if you give up. The only surefire way to be successful is to keep moving forward. And so you want to take every opportunity that you can feasibly fit into your schedule. Don't give in to the FOMO, but make a concentrated effort to participate in everything you feasibly can do. Things like contests, things like mentorships, things like pitch parties and querying and submissions to magazines and writing for the educational market or whatever, freelancing. I have a writing friend who's just recently started doing some freelancing. So taking advantage of all those opportunities is very, very important, but also not judging yourself by how you're performing in those opportunities. Just take them, do your best, give it 100%, do your best, and then keep moving forward because every path is different and you don't know what your path is going to look like until it happens. So in that opening video and in this picture as well, you can see all these different paths and how every sea turtle is not just like going in a little line, that they started at the same place. They're hopefully going to end at the same place in the vast ocean. But their path between one place and the other can look very different, very zigzaggy. One goes off and you saw him flip over a while ago. So their paths are very, very different, just like ours are. And you don't know which path is going to lead to success for you. You may have in your mind what you think it's going to look like. Typically we hear, okay, you're going to get an agent and then you're going to get a book deal, but mine didn't happen that way. Mine happened in the opposite order. My PB pitch landed an editor and the editor referred me to an agent. And so it's very different for each one of us. The other really important thing to remember is to stop and rest when you need. The rejections, the FOMO, it can all be brutal. It can be really rough on our mental health and our emotional well-being. So stop and rest when you need to. Take a break. You'll see in I think it's the video toward the end here, you'll see that these little turtles, they do this. They'll pause, but they don't pause for long because they can't afford to, and neither can we. They can't afford to stop for long because they're going to get eaten by the seagulls or they're going to get overtaken by the ghost crabs. There's too many predators for them. For us, it's more about getting out of the habit. And so if you stop for too long, it becomes easy not to keep moving forward. So, but these guys, they would work really, really hard, and you can see how much effort they're having to put into it. But when they would get exhausted, they just pause and then they keep right on going. So for us as writers, what that might look like is just pause and remember what you love about writing. Do some writing that's not high stakes. It's not for a contest. It's not for a magazine subscription. It's not for an agent. It's just for you. You started writing because you love writing. You love words. You love communicating. You can't not write. That's why you're writing. At least that's how it is for me. I can't not write. It's how I process my world. It's how I think. And I can figure things out better when I'm writing them. And so write just for you for a while if you need to. Take some time and practice some self-care. Go lay on the beach. Go have a date night with your husband or your spouse. Spend some time with your kids. Spend some time with your family. Take some meditation time, whatever that looks like for you. I'm I like to eat ice cream and drink wine and eat chocolate when I have a bad day. Maybe not all at the same time, although maybe. But whatever works for you just to make you feel better, a hot bubble bath, nice music, whatever that looks like. Practice some self-care, take a break, and cultivate some other talents or creative endeavors. A lot of times that will spur our creativity even more, and we'll be more ready to come back to the writing when it's time. The other thing is, don't underestimate the power of a buddy. So when I started writing seriously a few years ago, you hear so much about writing as a solitary endeavor, and a lot of people are introverted who are writers, but I'm here to tell you writing is a team sport. We talk about critique groups and critique partners. Sea turtles need friends, and we do too as writers. We need those friends. We need critique partners. We need people to bounce ideas off of. My husband is my first and greatest critique partner. He and I'm blessed. I realize that not everybody has a significant other who will sit and listen to stories and give feedback, and he's a teacher, and he has kind of walked with me through this process, so he's actually a pretty good CP. I'm extra blessed in that way. But find somebody that you can just kind of bounce ideas off of. My friend Darla, it's just the two of us in that little group, and so oftentimes we'll do a little Zoom, or we'll email back and forth, or we'll put stuff in our folder, or we'll message each other on Twitter. What do you think about this? What if I do this? So having somebody just to bounce ideas off of, a brainstorming partner. And then the critique partners, the critique group, your agent, if you've gotten that far, um, your editor, if you're working on a project. So all those people play roles in helping us. It's better with friends. We need some to protect us. Maybe that is your family saying, okay, you're forgetting about the other things in your life that are important, right? Or maybe it's your agent who's protecting you from a bad deal or a bad decision. Some guide us, agents and critique partners would fall into that category, and some cheer us on. Our friends and our family, they may not know anything about the business, but they're there to cheer us on and be excited for us. Our Twitter friends, the kidlit writing community at large is just one of the kindest, most lovely groups of people that I've ever met. And I really think that the majority of us are indeed cheering each other on and excited for each other's success. And then the last piece is just to keep moving forward. And it's maybe the hardest because sometimes it's challenging and it's hard to keep going when you don't see the success that you want, when you think you've been after it for a really long time and you feel like you're never going to get there. But you have to keep moving forward or your failure is guaranteed. That's the only thing that's guaranteed. If you give up, you're going to fail. So don't do it. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. When any of the things that we've talked about before are not going as planned, when the success isn't coming, when the critique partners are bailing, whatever it is that's happening in your writing world, you have to find a way to keep moving forward. Our yes is waiting, and our success depends upon it. So this is where I'm going to try. So be patient with me here again for a second. I'm going to try to play this other video for you, and this is the one where here we go. It's just another about 2.5 minutes. And here's our little guy or girl who's trying their best to make it out to the ocean. You can see he's so close. Anybody feel like this? Like, oh, I'm so close. I can see it. I can smell it. I can taste it. I can feel it. It's coming closer and closer and closer. There's a little pause. He's tired. She's tired. They're tired. But look, they keep moving forward. They take a little rest and then they're moving forward. So far they've come. Little pause. Such hard work. So much hard work. Here come the waves. Look, they're thinking, oh, I've made it. I've made it. I've made it. I've made it. But look, watch what happens. Nope. Psych. That was a contest win. It was a full request. It was a pitch party where you got a like and nothing came of it. You're planted right back down there. And what do you have to do? Keep moving forward. Flip and scooch, flip and scooch, flip and scooch. The waves keep coming and teasing the contest, all the things, all the things. And look, it's a long wait after that wave picked him up or picked her up. How close? So close, but yet so far. Especially for this little tiny turtle. Almost, but not quite. Anybody feel that? Like to the core of your being? There we are. There's the PB party. Listen to the cheers. But still not quite, right? The friends are cheering. There's another little tease. So awesome. So awesome, my friends. And that is what's going to happen for us eventually if we don't give up. Okay. So here's a few snippets. I didn't want to leave without sharing this in the way that I did when my friend said, just please make sure you share this. So here are some snippets from the email and a little bit about my journey over the last couple of months. So I said to my friends, this business is so wonky. It's hard and full of ups and downs. A couple of months ago, and at this point, it was really only a month. It just felt like months. I was riding high. I got my first heart in PB pitch. And guys, I mean, I had done so many pitch events and never gotten so much as a sneeze in my direction. That first heart was so exciting. I had gotten that first heart. I had gotten all of my pieces accepted for my local SCBWI little book that we do called Ignite the Spark. And then I won that Mighty Kidlet mentorship, a little 2-week mentorship with an author. I'd won a giveaway. Like, it just felt like the world was on my side. I felt like I was on a roll. And I said, I really should have bought a lottery ticket. And it really should have been in that moment, because then came everything else, right? All of that was kind of on the back burner. And the contest results started rolling in. Kidlet Choice, I was a finalist last year, didn't even make it into the honorable mentions this year. Valentine, nothing, no love at all. 50 Precious Words, every single, for the last 3 years, I've been an honorable mention or a winner. Not anything this year at all. Right on the heels of that. And then the PB party, and I was feeling so stoked and positive. I'd had that mentorship, I'd had all these wins, and I just knew that PB party was going to happen for me this year. And it didn't. I was not in the finals. I was not even in the honorable mentions that came out this week. Um so I was really stoked, but every one of those was a dud. But in the middle of all that, that very first PB pitch heart, that little opportunity was still working in the background. And I had started not even to do that. I mean, I've put some of these same pitches in there so many times, and you think surely somebody would have liked it by now. If it was going to get liked, somebody would have liked it. But somebody new saw it. Somebody new liked it. I don't know if it was timing. I don't know if it was person, but somebody liked it this time. And I would have missed that. And if I had missed that, I would have missed the opportunity for my agent for a book deal that's potentially in the works right now. Um, all of that from that opportunity that I started not to take. It was a busy time. I was like, man, what's the point? But then there's that little voice that says, if you don't take this opportunity, you never know. It's a twisty path, friends, just like all those turtle tracks weaving and bobbing all across the sand. Today, I have an agent and a potential book sale. It's not official or announced. I can't talk about it, but I'm just here to tell you that there are no guarantees. Tomorrow, it could be totally different, or next week, or next month. Um, I have one of my dear critique partners. I don't know, around last year, this time maybe, she had an agent, and we were so excited. And then her agent had some health issues and had to step away, and it was a small agency. There was nobody to pick her up, and right now she's back in the query trenches. And so our roles have just reversed. Next year, this time, it could be reversed again. We just don't know. So here's some takeaways from my perspective. It's really hard not to be jealous and envious when others have success, even if they're your friends, even if you really want what's best for them. It's especially hard if it's something that you've been working really hard for, and then they get it. It's a real test of friendship and a test of our character, and I struggle with it. Can I just tell you, this is an area that I have really struggled with through the years. But what I discovered is that the more I genuinely, honestly cheered others on, the more I genuinely felt joy for them. Super excited without the jealousy and the envy. But you can feel both at the same time. Joy for them and sadness for you can coexist. But it just started really making a difference in my heart when I was really honestly cheering for them. And so I'm not going to lie and tell you I don't look for my name first. I do. When the PB party honorable mentions, when the PB party finalists came out, I looked for mine first. It wasn't there. But then I saw, oh, this friend and this friend and this friend and this friend and more and more. And I was like, oh my goodness, they've been working just as hard as I have. They've been waiting just as long, if not longer, than I have. They deserve it just as much as I do. And when you put it in that perspective, I love the pitch parties because they put that in perspective for me. They say, look at all these amazing stories. Every one of them deserves to be out in the world just as much as my stories. Every person behind those stories is working just as hard as I am. I'm no better, I'm no worse. They deserve it just as much as I do. And so it allows me to be genuinely, genuinely happy for them and not feel as much of the envy and frustration and jealousy. Um, and then, secondly, you lose 100% of the chances you don't take. So take the chances, do it. Sometimes when I get those really hard reject, it's that pause time that we talked about. Pause, eat some chocolate, drink some wine, have some ice cream, or maybe you're not as unhealthy as me. Maybe you want to do something healthier. Take a walk, take a weekend, but do not quit. Take a little break, but get back on the horse. Don't wait until it feels normal to not be doing it, because it's easy to break those habits. And maybe most importantly is find your why. Um, Michelle Zemke just recently did a workshop with some folks on the Mighty Kidlit group, and we talked about finding your why. Simon Sinek, if you're familiar with him, find your why. When you start from that place, then you're writing for the right reason. If you're writing for the accolades, probably not the right reason. You should probably stop. That's risky, and not everything you're going to do is ever going to get accolades. If you write to get published, it's unpredictable. Crowds are fickle, but you write, like I said, because you must. It's like breathing. You can't not do it. So just continue learning what you can. Learn about your craft, find your niche, figure out who you are as an author, and then do that with all your might and with all your heart. Don't forget your why. Why do you write? Um, Write it, frame it, make it your screensaver, meditate on it. I have a life verse and it says, "May my words and my thoughts be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer." That idea of my words and my thoughts having purpose and having um power, purpose and power. And so that makes me want to be really careful. And I don't always do a good job, my friends. I'm telling you, I don't always do a good job. Some days I say things I wish I could take back. My husband will tell you, well, he may not tell you, but he tells me all the time, sometimes you just don't know when to hush. And he's right. Sometimes I don't know when to hush. Sometimes I don't know when to be quiet. Um, it's not 100%, but it's my why, and it's what I keep working toward, right? It guides me and it helps me to do better, and it helps me know when something I'm doing is not working, right? So I want my words to make the world a better place. That's the bottom line. I want everything I say and everything I think to help make the world a better place. And I can do that without being published. Can I do it more by being published? Maybe. But I hope I've been doing it for the majority of the time I've been alive, and certainly for the time that I've been writing. And I hope that if I never get published, or if I get published and then I never publish anything else, I hope that I still am making a difference. And I hope that for you too, that your words are making a difference in the world. um Dolly Parton said it this way: figure out who you are and then do it on purpose. So, whether you're following Simon Sinek or Dolly Parton, that's what I hope that you will do. So, know that all the passes and the rejections and the not yets, and they are not yets, they're not forevers, right? They're preparing us, they're thickening our skin, they're teaching us how to deal with rejection, they're building our immunity so that we can handle the subjectivity that will get hurled at us when we are published. So Stacey McAnulty, she's another North Carolina author, and she's super successful. Stacey has done amazing things. If you haven't checked out her books, please do that, especially her solar system series, our universe series. It is fabulous. Such fun wordplay and amazing voice. And the latest in that series has been Pluto, and she got a terrible review from Kirkus. But does that make her less of a writer? No, she's having to shake that off and keep moving forward. Now, she's a very successful author, agent, yes, published, yes, but she still has to deal with it. I've got the screenshot here. The full thread is here. If you want to click on the link, I'll put this slideshow in my blog post. But everybody has to deal with rejection and passes and bad critiques or bad reviews. They're not fun, but they do help us in the long run. So this is where it came to one of my favorite stories that I've written. And again, Sprinkles will probably never get published because the market is flooded with these amazing sea turtle stories. But this has become my mantra, and she's become my mascot. And so this is where I was telling my friends the story that I've shared with you today, that journey from the nest to the surf seems really short to us, but it is so incredibly hard for them. And so they work really hard and only move a little ways at a time. And that's how I feel about this writing journey. And so I hope that you're going to pause and rest and then keep on scooching. In spite of the barriers, in spite of the dangers, that you will just keep moving forward. When you hit those teaser waves that lift you up and you're thinking, I'm there, I'm not there. I hope that you'll just keep flipping and scooching forward, forward, forward. Because eventually, if we do that long enough, and if we give it all that we've got, then they're going to make it into open water, and we're going to make it into a writing career, into publishing, into the dreams that are waiting for us. So I hope that you'll keep moving forward until you catch the current. And I fully believe that you will give there if you don't give up. So I just want you to keep moving forward. I love you all, and you're amazing people. You're amazing writers. It only takes one pitch party to see how much talent. It only takes reading through the Spring Fling Kidlit. It only takes reading through the Valentine or the 50 Precious Words to see how much talent and how many amazing stories there are in the world. And so for the ones that may not ever get published, I hope that just like Sprinkles, that you'll find a way to use that for the good of maybe yourself, maybe your friends, maybe your church, maybe your school, maybe your family. But I hope that those books will find a place of purpose and hope. And that's what I wish for all of you. So do you on purpose, find your why, and then just keep flipping and scooching until the surf spins you into the chaos of the publishing world.